Travolting presents The Fraser's Edge, hosted by Jeff Sweeney and Stuart Elmore, covering Dogfight. Enjoy the episode.
Hey, down, boy, down. No bite, down.
I was hoping you were going to bark back at me, and I was going to say, "What is this? Some kind of dog fight?" Aha! That's right, folks. Welcome back to this episode of The Fraser's Edge.
Never do that ever again.
Where
please.
we are covering the motion picture Dogfight, the 1991 Joaquin Phoenix and Lily Taylor motion picture.
Yes. Another movie where Brendan Fraser had to have just graduated college.
Yes.
And filmed like right away, the same around time when Child of Darkness, Child of Light was filming.
Yes, but I'll give like the difference between that motion picture and this one is that whereas in Child of Darkness, Child of Light, he is fully like an extra who just got a credit because like I guess he was in the shot more so. There's a focus on him. In this movie, he gets a line. And so that usually happens. I feel like you and I, we work in the industry, so you don't usually get a line unless you either audition and you get a role, which I'm sure he did for this.
Right.
Or you're booked as an extra and they're like, well, we want someone to say something, and they particularly pick someone out of the crowd.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm sure, where he was at in his career now. He's doing a lot of extra roles. He's being, background in a lot of movies. And he probably just kind of threw the ringer. They're like, oh, we're looking for like a tough military.
They probably booked
this.
like 4 sailor background that day, and Brendan Fraser just happened to be one of them.
Yeah, and he happened to be the one who they're like, this guy looks like he could like beat someone up.
Yeah, right.
Because Fraser does have a stocky build to him.
Yeah, and he's tallish.
He's tall and he has a stocky build that works well for like kind of the meathead roles he'll play in his career at parts. And especially in this movie, where like his character should have just been named like Sergeant Meathead or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
Looking to see how tall he is. 6'2".
He's a tall boy.
He's 6'2".
Tall guy.
Tall gentleman. So Dogfight came out in 1991, starring River Phoenix and Lily Taylor. River Phoenix, pretty recognizable name. People probably know River Phoenix purely just off of notoriety, but mostly Stand By Me. And I don't know, what other things is River Phoenix like mostly known for?
Sorry, I was just distracted by something. What did you say?
What was River Phoenix mostly known for? Like there's Stand By Me.
Stand By Me, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
He was nominated for an Academy Award for Running on Empty for supporting actor, which is him and Judd Hirsch. He's in a movie that I really love, The Mosquito Coast. Yeah. Which is Harrison Ford's best performance, probably. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, I'd check it out. But he was an up-and-coming actor at the time. Yeah. And that's what really kind of makes the whole thing very sad, is that he was up-and-coming. And I would say by this point, he's just starting to really get established as his own name. Yeah. But we were, because he passes away in 1993. Yeah. In the Viper Room in California. And I feel like we were really robbed of a career that was about to really explode. Right. Because he had already been nominated for an Academy Award at such a young age, at 18, and he was just getting role after role. Indiana Jones established that he was great at action. He's really good in that opening of Indiana Jones. Yeah, he is. And I think he's really good in this movie. Yeah, I would agree. Dogfight, a movie that I actually quite liked a lot. I was a little indifferent about, just because, with it's hard, because the movie you have to kind of like judge it based on the times that it was made in, which I hate always saying that, because it's like, I don't know, there are some very like progressive films like back in the day that you watched in today's terms and they still hold up pretty well. Yeah. This is a movie where you watch and, at least the first act and maybe act 2 doesn't really set well with your stomach. Yeah. But I think, we were just talking a little bit before the podcast, and I think you made a really good point that, the movie does make a case for like toxic masculinity. Yeah. Because and all those sort of things. This movie's filmed in 1991, or comes out in 1991, and it's set in 1963. So it's already in its own way a critique of a period 30 years prior. Yeah. The approach that this movie takes is, right off the bat, it's trying to be an American Graffiti riff. Like, it kind of does the same, like, bunch of kids last night in town before they ship off.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe to it.
Right.
In American Graffiti, they're going to college, or some of them are.
Mm-hmm.
In this, he's going to Vietnam.
Right.
And the whole thing ends the same way that American Graffiti ends, where like he leaves and then JFK dies, and that's the death of innocence in America, and they come back a changed person, and the country's shattered and torn apart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's nearly as successful as that movie.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was just like the beginning part, because it doesn't do like a good enough job of like trying to sell me on why I should like really care for these characters. My first thought is like these guys are just pretty much awful.
Yeah.
They're the epitome of what's awful about the nature of toxic masculinity in the military, and all that goes from there. I would say, third act, it does sort of, it tries its best to bring it home, and depending on how you feel about it, like for some folks it probably works, for other folks it doesn't. I would say for me, I wasn't quite, head over heels by the end of it.
Yeah, this isn't the best movie I've ever seen, but I did quite like it a lot. I think it's I would give it stamp of Jeff.
I would say the biggest thing that I admired and liked of this was the believable chemistry between Lily Taylor and River Phoenix.
Yes.
That was very good.
Great chemistry.
They do have really good chemistry.
They're both very charming in this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Which does bring me to my one criticism that I'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah.
My one major criticism.
Okay.
Which I'll bring. But first, there's a little context for this movie. Not a lot. But it's directed by Nancy Savoca, who hasn't really done like a significant amount of movies. She's an NYU graduate, but she did go on to direct something. She was an auditor and production assistant for John Sayles and Jonathan Demme. Started as a storyboard artist. And then she goes on to direct her own movies. She won a Sundance Grand Jury Prize for motion picture True Love that she made. And then this is the movie that comes immediately after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, she mostly kind of sells into directing TV movies. A lot of ones that I don't recognize. But she's consistently working. So she's a working director.
That's always good. Can't falter for that.
But it seems like this is the one movie she's done that really like kind of had something of an impact.
Yeah.
It didn't like explode, but it had some impact to it.
Right. And then there's Brendan Fraser.
Yes, who is in this movie.
He's in this movie.
And we kind of talked about it at the beginning of the episode already where he's at. But, this is his first speaking role where he's coming right out of college, getting extra roles. And this is the one where they're like, all right, this kid might have something. He might have some juice.
This kid could talk.
Let's throw him a line, huh?
Throw him a line.
And then starting next week, he starts getting lead roles.
Right away.
And I don't think this is the movie that, like, everyone's like, whoa, that guy. But I think it was the step where people are like, this kid might have something.
Yeah.
Let's throw him a role and then keep him in mind for the next movie.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of more praise it too. Like, he was an extra and they just give him a line.
Yeah.
And he kind of fits the bill for what they needed to convey. So, which I think it's a good point moving forward into his career, is that Brendan Fraser is that guy that just fits the bill, that can get the thing done for you, but lo and behold, he actually can add not just that, but a little bit of charm to it as well.
He's funny in this movie for his one line.
Yes, he is.
It's a funny delivery. It's a funny scene.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like, this movie starts, and first thing that pops up is the words, a Peter Newman production.
Yeah.
I just want to say, for any of our listeners who also listen to the podcast Blank Check with Griffin and David, which is a podcast I love dearly.
Okay.
Peter Newman, who produced this movie, is the father of the host of that, Griffin Newman. Fun fact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was a guest on several episodes, who I just listened to, so that was a little funny. I just listened to their episode on Swimming to Cambodia where he guested, and then I turned this movie on, and Peter Newman pops up.
Blank Check, a great podcast that you all should listen to, and if you had to pick them over us,
pick us. I mean, they're probably better, but pick us.
Yeah.
They have enough listeners.
They do have enough listeners.
Yeah, we need more.
More.
But we start off in 1967.
Yes.
That's where the flash forward is.
Yeah.
And River Phoenix is like he looks kind of bummy. He's kind of staggering. He's sitting on a bus with like kind of loose fitting dress, military fatigues on.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there. He looks all depressed. And then as he's thinking, we get cut back to 1963.
Yeah.
And it's a very short opening, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He goes back to 1963, where we're on a bus again.
Yeah.
And it's him and the boys.
Him and 3 other guys.
The 4 Bs.
The 4 Bs.
The 4 Bs.
They buzz in.
They buzz in.
Because they are buzzed.
Bees.
They're bees.
Yes.
It's great.
It needs to be noted, this is set November 21st of 1963.
And what is the
significance of that date?
Significance of that date, Jeff?
It's the significance of the day before JFK gets shot.
Yeah.
Which is, if you're making a movie about like the death of innocence in America, which is in part what I think this movie's about, or like the changing tides of America, hell of a day to set it.
Yeah.
Because it ends and immediately the country changes.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that the JFK assassination is the start of the 60s.
Yeah.
Because like it's technically the third year of the 60s, but like in terms of culturally what we think of the 60s as,
right.
Like JFK's assassination is kind of the beginning of that.
And there's an argument to be made that the assassination of JFK is what led to our increased involvement in Vietnam.
Yes.
Like we were already involved in Vietnam, as they say in the movie, that they're going to go to this little country called Vietnam. They make it sound like, there's no significance in that name whatsoever.
Yeah, they're like, this little country called, it's a little heavy-handed.
We'll be back next year just in time for dinner.
It's just in time for Christmas.
Yeah. So yeah, there's something to be said about that as well. But yeah, the 4 Bs, they get off the bus and they're all hooting and hollering and joking, and it's their last night before they get shipped off and deployed to Vietnam.
Yeah.
So what do? They commence.
They decide they're gonna have a dogfight.
They're gonna have this old tradition contest called a dogfight. And what is the dogfight, Jeff?
A dogfight in this movie is that the group of guys, who in this movie is a bunch of them, it's like the entire busload essentially. It's not just the 4 Bs.
Yeah.
Everyone goes out in the town. They're in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which I did not realize until the end of the movie.
Oh, really?
I just didn't put together that it was San Francisco.
Okay.
Because like they're only over on close streets. You don't see the Golden Gate Bridge until the very end.
Right. Yeah.
But they're in San Francisco, and they go out in the town, and they have to find the ugliest girl they can and bring her to a club that night.
Yeah.
Where they'll have a dance-off, and whoever is voted as finding the ugliest girl wins the prize money.
Yeah.
Which is immediately like red flags, very sexist game idea.
Yeah.
And the movie agrees with that. Right. It doesn't agree with the thing. It kind of plays it off funny at the beginning, but it does turn it around and make it like the villain of the movie.
Yeah, it does. It does, yeah. So the River Phoenix plays a character named Birdlace.
Yes, is his actual name.
Yeah.
Eddie Birdlace.
Right. And they all part ways to go find their women. And Birdlace goes to a few different places.
Yes.
Tries to, hook up with different women who keeps getting rejected over and over again.
One of them, picks up an older woman sitting on a bench in a park.
Yeah.
One of them picks up a Native American woman getting off a bus.
Yeah.
They all have their strategies to try and bring these women to the dogfight.
Right.
And what Eddie Birdlace, I'm just going to say Birdlace.
Yeah.
Does is he goes into a coffee shop and he sees like an older woman man in the counter.
Yeah.
Tries to put the charm on for her, immediately shut down.
Yeah.
Rejection. Doesn't work.
He turns around and he sees
a young waitress. Playing a guitar in the corner.
Yeah. Her name is Rose, played by Lily Taylor. Lily Taylor, who has this is probably the start of her career.
Yes, this is very early for Lily Rose. She had been in a few things prior to this. She's in Say Anything and Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
But this is, I believe, her first real lead role.
Yeah. For folks who for the lay person, Lily Taylor is the mom that gets possessed in The Conjuring.
Yes, for the modern audiences.
For the modern audiences who may not know.
But she pops up she has kind of a good 90s run. She's in I Shot Andy Warhol and some movies like that.
Yeah.
Rudy, she's in Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
If you like Rudy. I don't like Rudy, but I know a lot of people do like Rudy.
Why don't you like Rudy?
I just thought it was boring. It's been 10 years since I watched it, so maybe I'll like it if I watch it again.
I haven't seen it forever as well, so I don't really remember much about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what we watch next, Jeff.
Rudy, the Rudy cast.
The Rudy cast.
The Sean Astin cast.
Hey, Sean Astin cast.
It's an idea.
That's an idea.
It's an idea.
Yep.
Maybe not the best one, but it's an idea.
Well, what the audience doesn't know is Jeff actually has the next 4 podcasts planned ahead of us.
I have several ideas.
Bold to assume it's just 4. It's probably
I have
like
several
8.
ideas.
Yeah.
No, if we did the Sean Astin cast, it would be dire near the end. It'd be 20 years of nothing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel. No, thank you.
But we have to watch season 2 of Stranger Things.
We don't do TV. Stuart, if we did Stranger Things, we would have to go back and do Welcome Back, Kotter.
Fuck.
We like lines have to be drawn in the sand. Okay,
we're trapped in our own prison.
Yes. We have built our own prison. That if we did Stranger Things, we have to go back and do Welcome Back, Kotter, The People versus O.J. Simpson. And we're not doing it.
Okay.
We're not doing TV shows.
Okay. Fair.
Anyway.
Fair.
Yes. I mean, we commit. Whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so Dogfight.
Okay.
All right.
Dogfight.
I don't know why we were laughing that hard.
Because it was the bartender.
Hey, that's the last podcast.
Yeah. So he goes over to Rose, who's just sitting there playing her guitar.
Yeah.
And he kind of like puts the charm offensive on her, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go out tonight?" And he's being sweet.
Yeah.
In a way. And she's interested in folk music, so he kind of making up facts about folk music. He's like Sam Gwain or something like that.
I just want to say, you said in a way like Australian. It's like, in a way.
In a way, he just starts putting the charm offensive on it, doesn't he? Oh, he gets the kangaroo and the dingo. No. But he puts the charm on, and she's initially says no. She comes up with all these excuses like, I have to work till close tonight. My mom will be alone tonight. She's a single mom. We live above the store. And eventually she after River Phoenix leaves, she's like, fuck it. And she puts like, first she runs down. She's like, all right, I'll go with you. Should I dress nicely?
Yeah.
And he's clearly trying to be like, no, because you have to look ugly. But he's like, yeah, it's a nice thing. Because like his facade's starting to drop and then he actually finds her attractive.
Yeah.
Which I think is a problem with this movie.
Is this your big thing?
Yeah, my big holdup is that the idea is that they need to find the ugliest, and he clearly like picks her. He asks her because he does find her attractive, but he still knows he has to win this. So he kind of picks her because she's unattractive still. The thing is, Lily Taylor is very pretty in this movie, I think.
I would say she's not ugly.
Yeah.
She's fairly plain.
Yeah. And so like that's the problem I have with this movie is like I feel like the really transgressive version of this movie would have been if he had picked like someone who is conventionally unattractive.
Yeah.
And then fallen in love with them, and that kind of deconstructed the idea of this dogfight.
Yeah.
Instead, I still think the movie works that way, but it's a bit of a hope that Lily Taylor is very charming, very conventionally attractive in this movie, I think. And
again, I would maybe steer away from conventionally attractive. I just think like I think they put in the effort to make her look fairly plain for even 1960s time.
Yes.
But you're right. She isn't like conventionally
because
ugly.
like E.G. Daly plays one of the other women. She's like missing teeth and like has this huge beehive and
exactly.
Like they really like put her to the nines.
Yeah.
And Lily Taylor's like, fine. And so that's the problem I have with this movie, that like the message is trying to be like, you know, there's beauty in everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's beautiful in their own way for different people.
Whereas Lily Taylor, it's like it's not hard to find.
With her, it kind of makes the message like she's the least ugly of the bunch.
Right.
So she's the one who who has success.
Yeah.
And that's clearly not what they're intending. And I still think the movie works. Like it doesn't fall into that trap fully, but it is a trap that's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. For me, it's like I just don't fall in love with these guys.
Yeah.
Anytime quickly.
Yes.
And if anything, like Birdlace does pick up the charm a little bit later, especially in the dinner scene.
Yeah.
But I would say for the most part, it's like when they all go to Vietnam and spoiler alert, when, you know,
they all die.
The shit goes down.
River Phoenix.
Like, I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily, I'm not like, oh.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just like, okay. Like, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
They go to Vietnam and they all get shot up and killed except for River Phoenix, who's like traumatized by war. It's like, okay, like great.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna probably have PTSD and be even more of be a more toxic man probably.
I think the movie gives hope in that not happening at the end.
Yeah, it tries to. I will agree with that. It tries to.
Because so she goes out with him and they're walking around. And they walk by a theater where there's it's a movie, I think it's called the Something About Mimi or whatever.
I don't remember.
Something like that. And she's like, isn't it crazy? We're just there's men fighting for our, their lives out there for our lives. And we're just sitting around here watching movies and doing nothing, which hit me to my gut because I'm yeah, that's me right now. I'm watching this movie to get ready to talk about it in the spot. But she's she wants to have an impact in the world through art is her dream.
Yeah.
She wants to be a folk singer, and she kind of puts out that you can, music is a weapon. Music is a way to change someone's mind, to offer a new perspective, a new point of view for them without violence. Yeah. And he's like, you want me to do that? Just give me a gun. And she's like, well, if you start shooting at people, they start shooting back. And so the argument of their relationship and their dichotomy kind of comes down to right at the beginning. He is very stuck in the masculine ways of doing things. Yeah. He's this dogfight is what the boys do. Men go out and fight, and that's how you change the world. And she's like, peace is a way to change the world, and you accomplish peace through art and understanding and communication, which is by the end of the movie what she does with him. She uses music. She uses understanding, and she changes him as a person.
Before he goes to Vietnam. Okay.
And that's what I find kind of interesting about this movie is that's its thesis, and it puts the work into showing it in the actual text of the movie. Yeah. Because in a larger scale, the movie is trying to be about America at an inflection point in the 60s. Yeah. But in the microcosm, it's just about these two people and how, the pursuit of peace and love and music, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever, triumphs over the military complex. And so to me, that's where I really found this movie interesting. Yeah. Stuart's giving me a big old smile.
No, I mean, I hear you say all of these things. I guess for me, it was just, I wish that was told through a POV I felt more attached to.
Yes, that's something I would have, I'll give you that if you can't really latch on to Phoenix's character in this movie, that becomes hard to feel.
And I'm not saying that in against to Phoenix. Yes. Because he plays his role the best way he probably could. I place that more into the text of his character. Yeah. And just how it was written.
It's not a perfect movie by any means.
Right.
But it's one that I liked.
Yeah. I'm sure we're skipping around, but are we at the dogfight?
Yeah, but they go to the dogfight after this. Yeah. And I forget what she says, but I wrote in my notes that she's like, don't you like to do anything, just talk or dance or anything like that? And he's like, we like to drink because men like to drink. And
drink.
I mean, is she wrong?
No.
But the dogfight begins. There's Rottweilers running around, bullhound.
It takes a real turn. It turns out it really is a dog.
There is actually a dogfight in this movie.
They fetch
a dog does fight somebody in this movie.
That is true,
and it's a very funny scene.
Yeah. No, it's really just each guy goes out with their lady and starts dancing.
Yeah. And they start dancing, and that's the final.
And the spectators are watching and making a decision.
Yes. And the winner turns out, Lily Taylor drinks too much, and she runs and she vomits in the bathroom. And then E.G. Daily, who every movie sounds like Tommy Pickles from Rugrats. Because she is Tommy Pickles from Rugrats. And which is fine. She is Tommy Pickles. And I know this. And I know she's an accomplished actress, and she's been in a lot of movies, and I've seen plenty of them. But when she's in this movie, she sounds like fucking Tommy Pickles. That's really throwing me off.
You gotta let it go, man.
Yeah, she just goes in the bathroom. She's off camera for most of it. Yeah. And she's arguing with one of the other bees about how he paid her.
I did what you wanted me to do. No, pay me half the money or whatever.
They made the deal that she has fucked up teeth and that she would not wear her retainer and come and look as ugly as she can, so they would win and they would split the money. Yeah. So they made a deal with her.
Right.
And she comes in and she's like, Chucky and the... I can't do the Tommy Pickles. She's like, Chucky and I... No, I can't do it. Phil, Lil, Dill.
Take a sick day, man.
You ever think about dill pickles?
Do I ever think
Rugrats.
about Dill Pickles?
I just think it's funny that the brother's name is Dill and the last name is Pickles. Dill Pickles. It's good. It's good. The dad's name is Stu in that, Stuart.
I know his name
but
is
there's no
Stu.
such thing as Stu Pickles.
Stu
You can have
Pickles.
Pickle Stew, but you can't have Stu Pickles.
You could stew pickles.
Yes, you could do that.
You could.
But it's just strange that they really
doing a stew gesture.
It's just kind of fucked up that they committed to the kid having that dog shit ass name, and none of the rest of the family has to suffer with the consequences.
What else would be a funny pickles name? What
are types of pickle? Kosher
pickles?
I'm looking up types of pickles.
Types of pickles. This is important, folks. We have to discuss this.
Bread and gherkin, Hungarian pickle. It's literally just dill. Dill is the only interesting name of pickles.
Yeah. What's your name? Hungarian.
Yeah, Hungarian pickles. Bread and butter pickles.
BB. BB?
BB pickles.
If it's Abby Pickles, but the nickname BB for short?
Yes.
Ooh.
But that's the, I just want to say that's kind of fucked up that they did that to that poor baby.
A lot of people had really bad names, Jeff.
Yeah. Some people really do.
I mean, just think about it. Nicholas Coppola. God forbid, can you imagine your last name be Coppola?
Yeah, I would just change it to something like if my last name's Coppola, I feel like I was in a cage and I just changed my last name.
A spot on my rage, I'm still just a Nicolas Cage.
Okay, anyway.
They're
at the dogfight. Lily Taylor hears this and realizes what the rules of the dogfight are.
Yeah.
And she's like, to E.G. Daily, she's like, what is this? And Lily Taylor's like, oh, they bet on how ugly we all are. Lily Taylor, very upset about this. Right. Understandably so.
Yeah.
She kind of just got led on a charade.
Yeah.
So she goes out and she slaps River Phoenix across the face. She was very drunk.
Yeah.
And then she storms off home crying.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting because Lily Taylor is very good in this movie. She's extremely charming.
Yeah.
So when she kind of learns what this is, and to her, this is the first boy who's ever shown interest in her.
Yeah.
And she learns it's because she's ugly and he wanted to win money.
Yeah.
That's soul crushing.
Right.
And so she goes home and she's very upset.
Did that ever happen to you, Jeff?
I have not been brought to any dog fights under the logic that I was ugly enough to win a competition. People are just he's too ugly naturally. We can.
She really caught on by that one.
Yeah.
Then where's the sailor fight? It's right around this point.
It's shortly after.
Yeah.
Because River Phoenix, Birdlace, runs off after her.
Yeah.
Because he actually was interested, and he had tried to dissuade her from coming to the club earlier.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, maybe we go somewhere else tonight," because he's starting to feel bad about her feelings getting hurt. And so he runs off after her. While he does that, the three other bees, whose names I cannot remember and are not really that important to the movie.
Yeah. They start making fun of these sailor guys.
Yeah, they start making fun of sailors who are there.
And they start calling them names yo, sailor douche or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. But Oki is one of the other names of the sailors. And Donovan, Vector, I don't know. No. But anyway, they're making fun of these sailor guys.
Yes.
And one of them
turns around.
And
he walks toward them.
And who is it, Jeff?
Brendan Fraser.
It's Brendan Fraser.
And what does he say?
He says, what does he say?
I have it right here.
What does he say?
He says, I can't remember what they say, would you like to eat my ass or something? And Brendan Fraser looks at them. He says, how'd you like to eat my shit? And then he punches one of them, and they punch back, and a fight breaks out.
Yeah, how would you like...
the sailors and the Marines.
How would you like to eat my shit?
Yes. Brendan Fraser coming on the scene with a force.
Yes.
With the quickness.
That is his first line in his career, ladies
Hollywood,
and gentlemen.
that is his first line.
How would you like to eat my shit?
And I'm like, Brendan, any day.
How would you like to eat my shit? So many ways you can play that line.
There are so many. It's like maybe one of the most.
How would you like to eat
my shit?
My shit.
It's maybe one of the most transgressive lines I've ever heard.
That you can change any syllable.
You can do so much with it.
You could do so much with it, but Fraser, ladies and gentlemen, Fraser executes it perfectly.
Yeah, he just goes in. He's like, "How'd you like to eat my shit?"
My shit.
Whoa!
Whoa! Shit.
all things considered, like jokes aside, he is actually funny in it. Like it's a good line delivery. He like kind of plays the meathead off on it. He's like, "How'd you like to eat my shit, bro?"
Yeah, and then he swings a punch, and then a fight breaks out.
Yeah, fight breaks out.
And that's all we get of Brendan Fraser. Now, Jeff, I wanna point out something that we do you have any imagery or photo of what he looks like in this scene?
I can find it.
I'm also looking forward to, but so folks, last episode we started off
Here he is.
The hair ranking. Oh, I also found it too.
Oh, okay, you got it. Then I'm not gonna turn my thing.
All right. I'm just looking for it. Oh, I found it. Okay, here we go. So I'm just looking at it, and I'm seeing if they're wearing like a hat at all. Oh, no, he isn't wearing a hat.
How'd you like to eat my shit?
Okay, so let's just say, how would you like to eat my shit? Brendan Fraser's hair in this is very clean cut, sailory.
Yeah.
As opposed to what it was in
Child of Darkness,
Child of Light, where it was a little floofy. So I'm going to say I like the messy haircut floof better. So we're going to put this at number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Right under that. Now, there is no crying in this. Sorry. I'm just going to turn the sound. Yeah, there really isn't any crying in that one, so I can't really rank the crying list in that, but whatever. All right, so we got number 2 of the hair ranking. I'm still not sold if the hair ranking is the way to go with Fraser here. Mm-hmm. I think we need to find something else to rank him on.
This is up to you, dude.
I am just trying to think of, like, what is it? What is it? What is the thing that we think of for Brendan Fraser? What is the thing that we...
the yell. He yells a lot.
Is it really the yell?
That's what I think of, but I don't know if we can really rank the yells.
Yeah, it's like the yell ranking?
Yeah.
That sounds lazy. Because for that one,
I mean, number 1 would automatically be the mummy, where he's like, at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's number 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll look into it. We'll look into it. I think we have to make a decision by movie 10.
My movie 10, yes.
By movie 10, we have to make a decision.
Yes, and then we have to make sure we have a full ranking of those first 10.
Yes.
But right now, we're still going with hair.
Right now.
We might end up still keeping with that, but who knows?
Yeah. Okay, so then River Phoenix, Birdlace follows Rose.
Yeah, he follows her while they're in a fight with the sailors.
And he's trying to, like, beg her for, like, hey, like, can we just, like, this is... Like, I'm really sorry. Like, that was really bad. Like, he apologizes for the whole thing. And then, she's like, well, why do you even, like, hang out with those guys? Or why would you do something like that? And he's like, well, it's just, like, really...
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, it's our...
That's just how the boys do it.
Yeah.
She's like, well, that's fucked up.
He doesn't tell her it's their last night there. He doesn't say that until the very end.
Yeah.
So then he can ask her, it's like, if he wanted to go out for dinner, like an actual date. Like, let's make it like a real date.
Mm-hmm. Well, first, I want to say how he does it.
How does he do it, Jeff?
Because he goes to her house and he climbs over her back fence. It's a very funny shot because it's like, it just stays static and he goes over the fence and you hear a dog start yelling.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he's like, oh shit, because a dog attacked him.
Yeah.
There's a dog fight.
Hey.
And then she looks out the window and she's like, why is the dog freaking out?
Yeah.
She goes back in. And then he climbs over again, distracts the dog, and manages to like tape a note to her window.
Mm-hmm.
And then he waits for her out front where he offers her what you're talking about.
Yeah.
To go out for like an actual nice dinner, nice night.
Yeah.
And against her better judgment, she does it.
Against her better judgment.
Yes.
Yes. So they walk around the town and they find a place.
Yes.
And they go right up, and it's a very high-class restaurant.
Yes.
Where they meet the front host.
Yeah, the snooty host.
The snooty host. Who plays the snooty host? This is important.
I would say it is important.
It's really important that we figure out who is the snooty host. And Restaurant Maître d'. Is that what it is?
I believe. I mean, he's the host, but
Dale Garman.
Does it look like him?
There's no photo.
Oh, yeah, that's sad.
And it's the, it's the only one later. And there's waiter, but no, nothing else. I think that's the one guy, but he has no photo, and he's not credited in anything else.
Sad.
I just want to say I thought he played a good role. He did a good job.
Yeah, he actually did a very fine job.
Yes.
Also, I want to point out a quick fun or fact I learned about this movie.
Please, for the love of God.
Yeah,
finish that sentence.
My criticism that I had about this movie earlier. I'm reading now. When it came to making the movie, initially the character of Rose was supposed to be markedly overweight.
Yeah.
But Lily Taylor really impressed the director Nancy Savoca that they picked her in light of the fact that like she didn't necessarily fit into the box that the movie's was originally trying to do, which kind of lessens the blow of what I'm talking about in some respect. Like that they were conscious of this fact.
Yeah.
But it seems like Taylor did gain 12 pounds for the role, and they put padding under her clothing. But I don't think that really shows in the movie. She still looks pretty small.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I did just want to point out that they did think about what my one criticism was for this movie, or one major.
So they go up to this restaurant, and this restaurant Mater.
Yes.
I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Mater.
Yeah.
Mater.
You know what? Wow, Mater. I just literally my brain went to the fucking Friend Like Me song from Aladdin, where he's like, "Life is your restaurant, I'm your Mater D." That's how broken of a human I am. That's where my brain went when you said Mater D.
And so he's like,
you must wear a suit.
Yeah, you must wear a jacket and a tie.
Yes.
And he's like, okay.
He's like, please, my last day in deployment, can we please go in? And he's like, no. So Rose wakes up some family friends of hers or something who run now.
And they say, we got to go to a funeral.
Yeah, they run a thrift store and say, we have to emergency go to a funeral. We need a suit for him.
And so they get him a jacket and tie.
Yeah, and they go back, and Phoenix starts really overselling it to this Mater D.
Yeah.
He starts kind of being like, yeah, so we're here to really sit down, and like really just kind of puts the works on being an asshole to him.
Yeah.
So he feels like he's been treated poorly by the Mater D, which he was.
Well, and then he's going to go sit him down. It's like, well, we're going to take this table right here. He just keeps pushing the envelope of trying to be more of an asshole to him to get back at him.
Yeah.
To the point, and this was a good scene that I actually liked, where Rose confronts him about that. Yeah. It's like, why are you like pushing it on him? It's like, well, we all
he's just doing his job.
It's like we deserve respect, and it's like, yeah, but like that goes for him too. Like he's just doing his job and all that stuff. It's like, sometimes you don't always need to like punch back at things.
You don't have to get even. Like even if he's a dick and a moron, like that doesn't mean you have to be a dick and a moron back at him.
Right.
And he's not entirely convinced, but he kind of starts seeing her way. And she's like, you don't have to swear every other word. And he's like, that's just how I do it.
And then the waiter comes up, and it's like, I'll have the fucking rice and the fucking salad.
She starts saying, like, fucking the son of a bitch and...
son of a bitch and steak.
Yeah.
And she starts picking up his mannerisms.
Kind of making fun of how he does it so that he can hear what he sounds like.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, I'll just take a goddamn beer. It's actually funny.
Yeah. But no, she's like, why aren't you going to eat anything? It's like, well, this kind of wipes me out clean.
Yeah.
So it's like, so she gives him some of her food. That's when they eat. And then they leave dinner. And as they leave, she stops the Mater D and like, I'm sorry, by the way, that he was acting like an asshole. And he's just like, huh. And then leaves. And that's all he does.
And then he just like, he gets a boat back to the UK. He's not British.
What a sad, sad life.
Yeah.
I don't remember where they go after that.
So they're running around, and he compliments her on her outstanding bullshit, and how she conned like the thrift store people.
Yeah.
But they go around, and she once again brings up like how he acted around the waiter, and says like, you guys are always so committed about judging people by their looks and holding grudges about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just become like the Dogfight is just another representation of this.
Yeah.
Like they're very vain. They're very focused on looks, and they hold these grudges that just like make them into angrier and angrier individuals that collectively make an angrier and angrier country.
Yeah.
Which the movie really gets into at the end. After this point, they start. What did they do? They go around. They go to a music place. They go to like a music venue.
Oh shit! I don't remember any of this.
They go to a music venue where she gets music lessons, and she plays a song that she likes from a folk singer whose name I cannot remember.
From like guitar?
Yeah, she plays guitar on the stage. Oh, she plays piano. She plays piano.
Oh fuck! I don't remember any of this stuff. This is really bad.
We're off to a rip roaring start.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Oh, man. I have no excuse either. It's not like I've been busy working.
No excuse.
Oh, shit.
No, it's funny. Starting next week when we really get into the Fraser like lead roles, I think we'll really start really picking up.
We'll really start picking up speed.
I'll speed run what happens in the rest of this movie. He listens to her perform. He kind of falls in love with her in that moment.
Yeah.
They go back to her place. They sleep together. And then the next morning, before they sleep together, they have this really good scene that I liked. This is from later.
Because it's after they slept together when they're walking to the bus when he tells her this was his last night.
This is his last night.
Before he deploys to Vietnam.
Yeah, before he goes to... He's like, they're sending me to Okinawa and then apparently some little place called Vietnam. We're just going to train him how to fight. We're not going to be there long. Yeah. Should be in danger. Exactly. He's like, there might be some danger. And then he's like, nah.
They're just going to fight some commies. It's
he's like, we're training them to fight some commies. It's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Newsflash, it wasn't.
Just thousands of soldiers dead.
Sorry to blow it for your river, but it doesn't go so well.
No, it does not.
It goes, in fact, poorly, I would say. In fact,
one could say we lost.
It might, in fact, be the first war America lost.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
No, it was strategic withdrawal, Stuart. It was not a loss. It was a strategic withdrawal.
Okay. Well, Vietnam's a great exporter country right now, so, hey, worked out.
But yeah, she gives him her address in case he wants to write her any letters.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes off and he skips down towards the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's really cute. It's a nice shot. I like that.
Yeah.
And then he gets on the bus with his friends.
And they're all like, don't I see your face, Jeff?
No.
He's struggling so much, ladies and gentlemen. He is struggling so much. No,
I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. I
swear to God, I will reach across his table and slap you in the face if you do any type of impression.
A door opened. No, I'm just saying what the... Yeah, okay. So he runs towards the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a really nice shot. That was a cool way to end this movie.
And the movie's over, and they lived happily ever after. Nothing bad happens afterwards.
No, it cuts to next morning. JFK gets shot. And then he's on the bus with the other bees and all the boys. The bees and the boys. This movie should have just been called The Bees and the Boys.
It honestly should have. It's really about the dogfight.
Yes. And so they're on the bus and they're heading to where they're going to deploy from. And
what are you laughing about?
Nothing. And all the bees are asleep except for Birdlace and one of his friends, whose name I can't remember. I think it's Birdson or something like that. It's like the lead bee, who's not him.
Bumble.
Yeah, Bumble. That would have Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. Okay.
It's not like we watched all the Transformers movies.
Yeah, it's not like that was a marathon that we did. But they're talking, and he's like, so you're going to tell me about he tells all the other boys that he went out with a corporal's wife that night. And they're like, yeah, man, get it.
Except there's one that knows
that he's lying because he saw him walking by with Rose through a window earlier.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know you were lying.
And then he responds like, well, I know that the girl you brought.
You paid her off. You paid off E.G. Daily.
Yeah. So they decided to keep it quiet between each other.
And then he's like, we're all, the other one's like, we're all bullshitters.
Did we mention that like she writes him her address and asks her, right? But then when he gets on the bus, as they leave, he rips it up.
Yeah, and throws it out the window.
Yeah. Proving that men don't change.
Well, what I like in the scenes, he doesn't rip it up and throw it out until the other one gives this line where he's like, everyone's a bullshitter on this world. We're all bullshitters. And he's like, everyone in the Corps is a bullshitter. We buy our bullshit from Kennedy, who buys it from the people of the U.S. of fucking A. And that's what makes us Americans, is that we're all eating the bullshit. We're all going in on the bullshit.
That is a good
Everyone's lying.
That is a good line.
But he says, I know that there was no bullshit in what I saw between the two of you. That's maybe the one honest thing.
That's good.
And so River Phoenix is kind of like, oh God, if that was real, I can't he's too afraid to let something real touch him because he's like a very aggressively masculine person. So he rips it up and he throws out her address to try and he doesn't want to change. He's giving up his chance to be to get out of the bullshit, to escape the bullshit.
Yeah.
And then we flash forward a few years. They're on the hills of Vietnam, otherwise known as the hills of Southern California.
Yes.
Because he clearly did not go to Vietnam for this shot.
No.
It's because it's 4 shots in the scene. But it is funny how much it just looks like a hill in Southern California.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's there's a cactus in the background. They're all just the 4 Bs are sitting around. They're like, yeah, what's going on? Yeah. And then an explosion goes off.
Bam.
3 of them die.
Yeah.
Bird at least gets his leg kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to lose it, but he's not Lieutenant Dan, but
he's limping.
Yeah, he's limping.
Yeah.
He gets evac from the zone. We cut to him getting off the bus in San Francisco a few months later with a limp now.
Yeah.
Same way he did at the beginning of the movie. We've gone full circle.
Yeah.
And he was walking around San Francisco at one point, which has changed a lot since because when he was last there, it was the end of the 50s. I mean, it was 63, but it was the end of the 50s era where all the girls were in the, I forget what those
big
dresses
giant
are.
dresses.
The cocktail dresses.
Yeah.
And the men would wear suits and go out with slick back hair to the clubs and stuff. It's all hippies now. They're flower children and whatnot. At one point, someone's like, how many babies you kill, man? To him because he's wearing his fatigues.
Yeah.
And the anti-war movement had really taken off. And so now, his commitment to, the bullshit, his commitment to living this bullshit life as a tough guy that he's been trying to peddle has really just gotten him on the outs with everybody. He has nothing to his name, nothing for his life.
Yeah.
He's a man without a country, a man without a point.
And I think the movie does a good job of showing that and not telling us that.
And he goes to Rose's, the coffee shop that he worked at, which has now been renamed Rose, his coffee shop. And rather than going, he goes to a bar across the street where there's a very strange scene. Actually, it makes sense in the context, but he's talking to the bartender and he has the bee tattoo on his arm because he was one of the bees. And the guy's like, you want to see my tattoo? And he lifts his stomach up and he's got a big belly and he has a tattoo of a nude woman on it right on his belly button. And then when he shakes his belly, the woman dances. And so even in this final moment, Birdlace has chosen to stick with the masculine world rather than just open up to the feminine world. But this final moment is what kind of finally convinces him to be all right, fuck this shit. I can't even get a drink in this bar without this guy peddling some nude woman on his stomach to me.
Yeah.
So he crosses the street and he runs into Rose inside, and she recognizes him immediately. She goes up to him. They have a big old hug. Movie camera pans out. Cut to credits.
Movie ends.
It's a very sweet ending. He finally gave up, and he finally this reconciliation between the war and the peace movements.
And what we don't see is she slap him across the face and be like, I'm married now. You never wrote.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a daughter.
Yeah. Overall, a movie I really liked.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with every single thing you said, Jeff. It just goes to the fact that I was never sold into the River Phoenix character. And so I never really found myself invested in those things.
And that is a fault of this movie, is that while Phoenix is good, like you said, he is hard to kind of find as an appealing character.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to him.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's just a critique of male masculinity, struggles when you're just a critique of an archetype.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
Right. We don't get a lot of backstory from him.
While that didn't hold me up too much, and I still like this movie, I 100% would agree with that point, that it is a major hang-up in this movie, and that's probably why this movie wasn't a major success.
Yeah. So that's Dogfight.
Yeah, that's Dogfight.
Is there any post-text to this movie, Jeff?
So this movie, it comes out, it gets pretty positive reviews. Nothing crazy. The Rotten Tomatoes is 79, but we know that's whatever, because that's just on a binary scale.
Yeah.
But it basically got some really lovely reviews from people who matter. Like Roger Ebert really liked this movie. But then there's the New York Times critic thought the movie didn't have there's no point to it.
Yeah.
He found he struggled to get in touch with the characters. He didn't find them realistic. And so this movie causes a little discussion. It doesn't make a lot of money. It only made $400,000.
Damn. Is there any sign of what the budget was?
I cannot find budget information.
It's got to be at least in the millions, someone.
Yeah, probably 1 or 2 million.
Yeah. Not a lot.
It's a pretty contained movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much of an impact.
Yeah.
But it does build a cult following over time.
Really?
It kind of builds like a cult. Not like, they're shown at midnight at like fucking independent theaters and shit. But it has its followers now and has its fans. And then in 2012, they made a musical of this movie.
No shit.
Yeah, an off-Broadway musical called Dogfight was written about this. Was made out of this movie. I'm looking to see if there's anyone of note in the cast for the musical. I can't find anyone, but it has been played off-Broadway, West End, Australian, Dutch, Germany. So it kind of became a more successful musical than it became a movie.
Who was the musical writer who'd watched this movie and thought, this could be a musical?
I can tell you exactly. Benj Pasek and Justin Paul.
That's interesting. It's very interesting
and
to
Pete
me.
Dukin. I'm checking to see if these guys have done... Oh, no way. No way. So it looks like, the guys who did Dear Evan Hansen.
Did Dogtooth.
Dogtooth? What the fuck is Dogtooth?
Dogtooth is a Yorgos Lanthimos film.
Okay. So, the guys who did Dear Evan Hansen, this was the musical they did before that.
Have you seen Dogtooth?
I have not.
It's an actual
Probably looks like a good movie.
Same guy
I
who
like
did...
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yes. Yorgos Lanthimos. Great filmmaker.
So, these guys did they did Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway, as well as James and the Giant Peach on Broadway.
Wow. Now that is a good movie.
They also did the music for La La Land.
Really?
Movie, as well as The Greatest Showman.
What's their names again?
Pasek and Paul, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They did
pretty cool.
the Dear Evan Hansen movie. They did 2 songs for Aladdin, the live action one with Will Smith.
Imagine Will Ferrell as the genie.
That would have been very funny.
We're inside. Did you just watch Step Brothers?
Friend Like Me. I did actually just watch Step Brothers. Oh, you were there.
I was there.
This did
Great movie.
Yeah, they did Friend Like Me at the Catalina Wine Mixer.
Yes.
I love Step Brothers. Good movie. But yeah, Dogfight became it wasn't like a hugely successful musical, but it had a few runs. But it did more there than it did at the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the extent of Dogfight and like the impact it has. What it does do for Brendan Fraser is it gives him his first speaking role, his first line, and a quantifiable first movie appearance.
Yes.
This is like the first on all of the trivia pages and Wikipedias and stuff. It's like Dogfight, first Brendan Fraser performance.
Yes.
And we've talked about it, and we had it, and I like this movie.
I fuck with it.
I fuck with this movie.
Yeah. Not a sick day.
No sick days involved.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, swell, Jeff. Sorry I wasn't much of a contribution to this one.
No, it's fine.
Once we get more, like you said, into the Brendan Fraser lead movies,
which starts next week.
Yeah.
Because, folks, make sure to tune in next week for our episode on Guilty Until Proven Innocent.
Whoa. Okay.
Which is I believe, Martin Sheen movie.
Yes, it is.
Which is another one that we have to watch on YouTube.
Another TV movie.
Yes. It's Martin Sheen and Brendan Fraser.
Guilty Until Proven Innocent.
Yes. That's next week. And the week after that, we have our first real Brendan Fraser lead role with Encino Man.
Gotcha.
We'll be joined by a previous guest who I'll announce next week. But for now, thank you for listening to Dogfight. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. As a reminder, we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Pop into our Reddit, r/Travolting. Find us on Twitter or Instagram at TravoltingPod. TravoltingPodcast@gmail.com. If you have any emails to send us. Find me on Instagram, or find me on Twitter at Jeff W. Sweeney.
Nar.
Nar. And as always, thank you to Rebecca Johnson for our graphic design and Michael Van Bodingham Smith for the theme music that is now taking you out. See you next week, folks.